Good morning, dear students. Today we will discuss how to write a report, basically report writing. This topic we are discussing in the end, and in the starting we discussed the process of research. You will find that we are almost discussing the same things and some additional things as well in report writing, right? The process we have written in the starting, that would be followed in the main text of the research report, and other things would also be considered. Let us start it one by one. Your report, your research project, basically your research report would contain three parts. One is prefatory parts, and second is main body of the part, and then it is last is appended part, right? Prefatory part means little introductions and all, title pages, providing the list of tables, providing the list of chapters, summary of the report, right? Those things. Main body of the part would consist of all the things we have discussed in research process. For example, related to that only, you'll be starting with the introduction of the topic, then you'll be mentioning review of literature you have gone through, the objectives of the study, all the analysis and their interpretation, along with limitations and everything related to your research. Then appended parts would consist of those things which you might not want to include in the main body. For example, some technical tables which are, not to be understood by the layman, or maybe that is for some, for those people who might go for further research, like that. So that would contain your appended parts. Let us discuss them one by one now. Prefatory parts, those parts which will be, which will be a part of your research report before the main body starts, like title page. This is very important. This has to, contain all the information. For example, exact title of the research. Then if it is to be mentioned, for example, if you are an MBA student, then from which university or college you are doing MBA. For example, if you are a PhD student, accordingly you will be mentioning that. For example, if you are doing this particular research for a research agency or something like that, then you'll be mentioning the credentials of the agency, right, along with the title of the research. Then you will be mentioning your name if it is you who has completed the research, or if it is a team, then you will be mentioning the team and the year of completion of the report, right? These all things would be coming in title page. Then letter of transmittal. Letter of transmittal basically is just it is a kind of page one, just one page, which would contain all the information related to transmission of authority, you can say. You are trying to you are basically trying to transfer the rights to the agency in one or the other way. This element is included in relatively formal and very formal reports. Its purpose is to release or deliver the report to the recipient, basically. If you are an MBA or PhD student, then you do not have to do this. But if you are doing a research on the basis of payment or something like that, then you will have to do this. You will be basically transferring the rights to the people who are paying you, to the agency who is paying you. Then letter of authorization. This is a letter to the researcher approving the project, detailing who has responsibility for the project and indicating what resources are available to support it. Because the researcher would not write this letter personally, writing guidelines will not be discussed here. So this is just a letter providing the authority, right? Then table of contents. This table of contents would initially consist of all the chapter details. For example, you have got 5 chapters in the report. Chapter 1 consists of introduction, chapter 2 review of literature, chapter 3 your research design and everything related to that, chapter 4 analysis, and chapter 5 is, for example, summary, directions for future research, limitations, and so that. and so on, right? So table of contents would consist of everything in chapter 1, every header in chapter 1, and then you will be providing one more content which will be one more reference which would consist of all the details of tables provided in the report. Then you will be providing one more table of content for all the figures used in the report. So there will be three parts of table of contents. One is for all the headings we have provided along in all the chapters. For example, chapter 1 introduction, then 1.1, for example, you just mentioned about the topic, for example, corporate social responsibility. Then 1.2 might be you might present you might discuss something related to the companies you have mentioned, right? You might discuss laws related to corporate social responsibilities. You can make any number of headings in the chapter, right? So you will be mentioning all those headings here in table of contents for all the chapters. Then second part would be providing the details of all the tables along with page numbers. Then third would be providing all the figures used in the provided in the reports along with their page numbers, so that it becomes easy for a reader to find whatever he or she wants to find in the report, right? Then the last part of prefatory parts is summary. This would include, this is basically very important for the readers, so it has to be very you have to be very specific for this. There is no formal format for this, but it should be written in such a way that readers should understand everything written in here. This is for more understanding part. Your objectives should be cleared in summary part, then your results and their conclusions and further future recommendations should be part of your summary. Basically, it would tell the reader whether he should read the report further or not. Your objectives would tell him that yes, whether they are for his further readings or not. Then what kind of the results you have got. Along with the results, you can mention in 1 or 2 lines that what kind of the research methodology you have used to to go with the objectives, and then you can go with conclusions and recommendations. This should be a very brief report so as to tell reader that yes, this is all about the report is all about. Then second part of the research report is main body of the report. Yes, this is this should be written very formally and very significantly so as to lure the more and more readers, right? Though summary is the main part because sometimes readers do not have much time to read, right? But this particular thing would tell readers that how to actually write the report. And then everything, for example, the person might just want to see the methodology used in the study, right? So that person can go to methodology section, or the person might be interested in all the results you have mentioned, the way they are, how did you report the tables and all, right? So these are to be managed very significantly. Introduction of the research report would consist of proper introduction of the topic which you have chosen for the research report, introduction of that particular topic, along with, if you have for example, if you are working on corporate social responsibility of top 500 companies in India, right? So in introduction you will be introducing CSR, everything related to CSR which you feel like that is related to your research report should be mentioned here. Some topics would be mentioned broadly, some would be mentioned briefly as per the requirement of the report, and then you will be mentioning somewhere in between that you are that why you are doing sort of why you are studying CSR of top 500 companies. So accordingly you will be mentioning a few things related to that also, so that you can connect both the things together. Then you will be providing, along with introduction, second part of introduction is generally review of literature. Review of literature means You will be discussing similar kind of studies done before your study, so as to tell readers that you have read so much, and on the basis of that only you analyzed the problem, and you felt like you should be studying this so and so topic for so and so companies, right? That is a kind of review of literature, and that comes out to be a result of that should be the formulation of hypothesis. Now your hypotheses are being formulated, now you have objectives in your hand, so you will be discussing methodology you have used in your research project. Methodology would consist of all the parts. For example, you will be telling the research design you have used. You will be mentioning how did you collect the data, what kind of the sample you have used, how did you collect the sample, how did you select the sample, right? Everything. Then how did you collect the data, and what kind of the research tools you are going to use in your study. Then after methodology discussion, you will be coming to the results part. Your whole research should be like that. Result section should contain the maximum part of your research report, right? Then results can be divided in one, two, or n number of parts accordingly. For example, if you are studying, for example, you want to study corporate social responsibility for top 500 companies. You might study CSR for top 500 companies, whether they are doing it or not. That can be one part. You might study them as per industry wise. You might categorize top 500 companies into different industries, and then you might study them separately as well. That can be one section, right? You might want to study them as per manufacturing versus service sector. That might be one thing, one chapter, right? So accordingly you will be bifurcating your results in different ways. Another way to bifurcate the results is divide the results is like whether you have studied the test of differences, or you might have studied the associations of variables. This way also you can divide the results. And then after providing the results of every area or every question in your objective, every hypothesis, now in the end you will be summarizing them. After that you will be providing limitations of the study. There is no research which is complete in itself. There is something which is left even after you have spent 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life for those research findings. Even after that something would be left, at least something would be there. So this would make a part of limitation. Like professors in my university used to say that you cannot do PhD in all the subjects, you cannot research every topic out there, right? So this is the same in single topic as well. You cannot study single topic, even one topic completely. Suppose you feel like till today you have studied everything, tomorrow something might come. Till the time you will be writing report, something would be there, right? So limitations are always there in research report. This is like we always say that nobody is perfect, right? No research is perfect. Like this you will be having limitations in the study, and you should always state limitations. Then conclusions and recommendations. What are the what are your conclusions about the research, and what do you recommend for further future research? This is all about main body of the report. And again, I'm telling you, results should contain the maximum part of your research report. Then it is appended parts. For example, if you want to provide how did you collect the data, you will be providing questionnaire. So you will not be providing that questionnaire in the mid of the report. You will be providing that questionnaire in the last appended parts. Then detailed calculations, if you have to provide, then you can provide it in the end. Some technical tables are there, which is not for everyone. These can be provided in the end. For example, if you have actually developed a scale, and on which basis you have developed a scale. For example, you have used some scales already developed as well, so they can also be mentioned in the last. And then some general tables related to your your research report, which were not fit anywhere in in between the report. These tables can also be provided in appended parts. Then in the last, bibliography. This is very important part. You have to provide it because after reading your report, for example, if I want to know how did you complete this and from where did you write this particular paragraph or this particular paper, from where did you find it, so I must know that what are the references you have used actually. So this is how bibliography is. Bibliography would tell me what kind of the research papers, what kind of the books you have read, so, and this makes your research strong as well. Yes, communication process is very important part of this research report now. For example, whenever you are communicating anything, of course, you are communicating so that the other person understands you, right? So to make audience understand whatever you are trying to communicate, you should be either speaking in their language, right, or there should be a person who is encoding your message and then decoding the message to the audience, right. These are the only possible ways, right. So you should be writing your report in such a way that it should be easy to read for audience, and that audience, you would always know what kind of the audience is going to read your research report. So it should be very easy to understand so that maximum people can refer to your research report. If it is not easy to understand, then it is of no use. For example, just have a look at it and try to understand what I'm trying to say. I have a spelling checker. It came with my PC. It plainly marks for my review. Mistakes I can't see. I have run this poem through it. Not through it, through it. I'm sure you are, instead of you're pleased to know. No means no, it is not no, it is KNOW. And two is TO, not TOO. It's letter perfect in its way. My checker told me, Sue. So if you look at this particular the whole text, you can see so many errors in it and I cannot understand it clearly. So these are the errors in actual, but your report should also have minimum possible errors and it should be easily understood by the reader. Otherwise reader would also get irritated and they would not be reading your report. Then it would be of no use of your research if that is of no use to the reader. Your immediate audience should easily understand the report, and even other audience should also get easy access to the report and easily understood by them, right. Then only your research have some benefit to the society. Otherwise it is not going to be used anywhere. So that's it for report writing. Let us discuss some true false now. The summary of research report should be written before the report itself is written. Is it? Can you write a summary before you have written the report? No. So summary should be written only after the rest of report has been completed. Then only you will be able to write summary beautifully. So it is false. Second is, the body of a research report begins with an introduction section. Is it? Yes. First is introduction. So this is true. Third is, the bulk of a research report should be contained in the results section of the report. Is it? Yes. Maximum of your research report should contain the results section of the report, because that is the only important part. Only, you can say, most important part of the report. Though everything is important in the report, your introduction section, ROL section, methodology, everything, but results should be taking the maximum part. Right, so it is true. Fourth is, the limitations of the research study should not be discussed in the research report. No, it should be discussed, because no research is complete without limitations. Every research report would be having one or the other limitation, so you should always report it in the research reports. It is false. Fifth is, highly technical sections of the research report should be presented in the appendix of the report. Yes, they should be. It is true, because some people might not be interested in that, and this might give them, negative flow of the research, and they might, their flow while reading the report might get distracted because of this technical table. So you should always give such technical tables in the end, and you should write your report in such a way that it should not even look like a missing, a missing part of the report. Sixth is detailed and comprehensive tables should be presented in the appendix of the research part. Research report. Yes, they should be presented in the appendix part, so that whoever is interested in them can have a look at appendix, and most of the people would not even look at that, would not be interested in that. They would be, maximum people would be reading your results, or say maximum people would just be reading the summary, and that's it, and then those parts only which are required for their own study. Seventh is the purpose of charts in a research report is to translate numbers into a visual form that displays the relationship between the numbers. Yes, we always say that a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? More than, picture is always better than a written paragraph. So that is why we use charts in research report. It's true. Eighth is the purpose of an oral presentation of a research report is to present all of the details of the research report. Purpose of oral report basically is to highlight the most important findings of a research report and provide clients or line managers with an opportunity to ask questions. And through presentation and practice of an oral presentation for a research report, you can make very effective presentations, right? So this is basically not for providing all the details, but to present the reports effectively, to present the results effectively. So it is false. Then 10th is one way to communicate a research. Ninth is an effective oral presentation of a research report should include adapting the report to fit the needs of audience. Yes, 100%. Because if audience would not understand your oral presentation, then there is no use of oral presentation, because there would be no questions. They would not understand. You cannot improve your result report further. So it should always be fitting in with the needs of audience. So it is true. 10th is one way to communicate a research report to the managers of an organization is through the organization's intranet. Yes, true. Last is when a researcher contacts a decision maker after the decision maker has had a chance to read the research report to ask if any part of the report needs further clarification. This is known as a research follow-up. Is it? Yes, this is actually the research follow-up. And when it is about you are doing a research for an agency or something like that, it is always needed. That's true. Let us discuss some questions as well. Discuss the elements of the communication process and how they relate to a research report. How are they related to a research report? Elements of the research report basically are communicator, that is you. If you are writing the report, you are making the report. Then message, what kind of the message you want to give to the readers, that is basically your whole research report. Then medium, that can be the language, in which language you are trying to communicate. And the language is also like, suppose we are talking about English language here, that should also be written in an easy way so as to get to the reader's mind. And then audience, what kind of the audience is there who is going to read the report. Accordingly you will be managing accordingly you will be trying to write the report. And then feedback, that may be used to modify subsequent communications. So that's it. Like in case of oral presentation, you can say you can orally present the whole report in your organization, and then ask your colleagues for the feedback that might help you in improving the report. Then second is list the 7 major elements of a formal research report. What are those 7 major elements? Number 1, title page, sometimes preceded by a title fly page. Then letter of transmittal, then letter of authorization, then table of contents. Fifth is executive summary, then body of the research report, and then in the last, appendix. These are the 7 basic elements of formal research report. And third question is, discuss what is included in the body of a research report. What are the things included in the body of a research report? First of all, you will be mentioning the introduction part of the topic, introduction related to topic. Then second would be your review of literature. Then review of literature would consist of all the, your hypothesis and objective, because research, your review of literature would basically tell you that what kind of the findings have been there in the past, and accordingly you will be formulating the hypothesis, and that would lead you to decide the objectives. So this is all introduction of the topic, then review of literature related to that particular topic, and then hypothesis and objectives. Then it would be your the second part basically would be your methodology. What kind of the methodology you are going to use in your research report, the sample selection, data collection, how did you select the sample, what kind of the sample you have, how did you collect the data, what are the tools used for data collection, then what kind of the tools you are using for analysis. All the things related to research methodology would form the second part. Then your major part would be results. You will be discussing all the results of the analysis, and this should contain the major part of your research report. After analysis, you will be mentioning the limitations of the study, and then you will be providing directions for future research. You will be discussing all the conclusions, and on the basis of that, you can provide the direction for future research. These are all the all which would be included in the body of a research report. Fourth is, discuss the various types of graphic aids researchers can include in a research report. What kind of the graphic aids we have? Number one, first of all, is tables. Then you can use charts. Charts can be pie charts, line graphs, bar charts, histograms. So many things are there. You can use all these graphic aids. Fifth question is, describe the purpose of the oral presentation and list suggestions for effective presentations. What is the purpose of your oral presentation? It is basically to highlight the most important findings of a research project and provide clients or your managers with an opportunity to ask questions. One rule stands above all is, when preparing a presentation, be as simple as possible. Several keys to effective presentation might include: be prepared, so that be prepared for presentation as well as for the questions which might be coming. Adapt to the audience, their language, the way they might behave in the presentation room. Then don't lecture or read to the audience. Tell them actually what it is. You do not have to just read through the PPT. Then avoid research jargon or use short familiar words. For example, I might use CSR and nobody knows about CSR, but I should be using corporate social responsibility instead of using the word CSR again and again, right? Or I might, if the major report is on CSR, then I might use it by telling them just once that I am using CSR in place of corporate social responsibility. For example, the term like corporate governance come in between, and you might use the word CG for that, right? And nobody might understand. So you should avoid using such things. Then you should be maintaining eye contact with all the readers. You should try to maintain eye contact with maximum readers so as to get them alert, and then only they'll be listening to you when they feel like that you are trying to explain them something, right? Then use graphic and other visual aids. This when you try to explain something just with the words, or if you try to explain the same thing with the help of tables or charts, this looks better, and people are more interested to know them. So that is why graphic aids are used in oral presentations. Then use gestures to make them understand about things, right? This is very important. Then invite participation from the audience. If you will be inviting participation from the audience, then they'll be alert and they'll be listening to you, right? So this is also important. So that's all. Thank you. This was our last presentation for this subject. I hope you understood it well. and all the best for your exams now.